All right. Well, thank you guys. Thank you all so much for being here today. I guess I'll kick it off. We'll get started. So we have Ben Fisher with us today. Ben is the co-founder of his own company called Steady Demand. He is also a Google profile product expert. So you are in great hands today. Ben is going to walk us through kind of an important topic. So, how many of you have actually Googled your business? I know a lot of us think, oh, I'll Google everything else, but how many of you actually have Googled your own business to see how I see some hands. Yep. So if you actually Google yourself, you'll see what kind of information you're displaying to other people. And that's a huge, huge part of marketing and your branding and how you off to other people. So Ben's going to walk us through some tips and tricks to help your business with your Google profile and how you appear to other people. So I have a few intro slides I'll just run through super quick from my end. This is the agenda for today. We'll keep it nice and short and try and stay on time. Please feel free to ask questions or anything during the presentation. And this is Ben, who you have all seen so far. He's waving.
Hi.
And that's it. So I'll jump in, stop sharing my screen. Ben, I'll let you take it from here, okay?
Sure. Sounds good. All right. Let me go ahead and get my screen sharing going here. Hi, everybody. How are you doing? All right. There we go. I think I'm scared. I hate it. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yep, we can see it.
Okay. Excellent. A little bit of trivia for you really quickly. I grew up in Mount Laurel. So I used to hang out in Morristown all the time, actually. It's a great town. So this is kind of cool that this kind of crept up onto my schedule. The first thing is I'm just going to say this, is if you don't know what a Google business profile is, formerly it was called Google My Business. Basically, it's a free tool that allows your business to really control and show how you appear on Google Search and Google Maps. It's very essential, of course, for your local search engine optimization, your visibility. I think personally, more importantly, even though I'm a local SEO company, what's really important is that you are providing the right information to the right users at the right time. For instance, your hours, how they can get in touch with you, your address, things of that nature. We all know that our own habits are to go to Google and just go search for something if we're interested in it, like a plumber or a lawyer, or in this case, maybe a fitness coach or something of that nature. So that's why it's so important. It is a product, basically, of Google's, and it does have a lot of frustrating components to it as well, which we're going to kind of go over. And I'm going to try and give you as many tips as possible to help you deal with the trials and tribulations, basically, of doing everything from creating a Google business profile to optimizing that Google profile, with a heavy emphasis on what you have to do during the verification process, because just currently that is probably one of the most frustrating parts of Google business profiles these days. So we'll be going over that as well. Feel free to hold your questions to the end. If you do have them, go ahead and just ask them in the chat. So, but I'm just going to kind of go through this presentation. All right. So getting started. Let's get started. All right. So just some brief overview. I do use a lot of bullet points, by the way. I will say that I'm guilty. Um, Overview of how to create and set up and keep a successful Google business profile. If you don't already have a Google business profile, you can go into Google and you can type in my business. And what will end up happening is it'll basically prompt you to create a Google business profile. Or if you do have one, you can go to business.google.com/locations, and that'll bring you into the interface, basically, of what's called the Google Business Profile Manager. And this is where you manage all of your listings, even if you only have one. If you have none, then it's going to show you a kind of a search box where you can kind of search for your company, because maybe you do have one out there, you just don't have control of it. Or you're just making a new one, then you can type in your business name, say it doesn't exist, and then it's going to walk you through the steps, which I'm going to show you. Make sure that you are using a Google account, one that you're going to remember. even if it's an old Gmail account, which is actually preferable. But just make sure you write down which profile you actually used. So that way, if you need to go back to it and you have multiple profiles, which a lot of people do, that you don't actually lose it. Make sure the information that you're entering in is accurate. And what I mean by accurate is in two ways. The first way is just Google your address. Just go to Google, type in your address. What you want to see is how does Google format that address for you from Google Maps. It'll show it right at the bottom of the map pack. And so that's really important. Your address needs to mirror this information because this is how Google sees this address. The second thing you can do, let's say that information is wrong, for instance. The second thing you can do is contact the United States Postal Service and you can have them fix the address. Or in the case of like an apartment or say a suite or something like that, if that suite is missing, then you can have them add that. Excuse me. So after you have, let's say, entered your new business information, then you'll need to verify. Once you're done and you get verified, congratulations. Now you can move on to optimizing your business profile. Little hint, while you're under verification, do not change the data on your Google business profile. It will fail and you'll have to literally start all over again. And then finally, after you're done with your optimization, which you should do on a regular basis, by the way, you want to be engaged. Google rewards engagement. This is reviews, posts, photos, services. Whatever you do, make it a routine. Add it to your calendar as something you do, say, on a weekly basis or a monthly basis, whatever that is. All right. So here is that interface we were just talking about where you would search for your business name. Because now what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of briefly go over how to create a new Google business profile, and then we'll get into verification. So you've gone to business.google.com/locations. You see nothing here. This is the only thing you see. So you start by typing in your business name. If there are near matches, Google's going to say, hey, is this you? To it, of course, if it's not, you'll say no. The next step, it's going to basically ask you, are you online? Are you a local store? Are you a service area business? If you check off online, which means you're online, say, e-commerce website, you're going to be basically told, sorry, you can't have a Google business profile. If you're going to be showing your address, this is important, you select local store. If you're a service business, like a florist, for instance, where you just say deliver things, but nobody comes to you, then that's when you will select service business, basically. At this point, you will now enter your business category. This category is who you are, not what you do. Very important distinction there. For instance, you should never see, say, a McDonald's, which is a fast food restaurant, or fast casual even sometimes. You would never see them put ice cream store just because they offer ice cream as a part of the lineup. Basically because if you want an ice cream store, you're looking for like Baskin Robbins probably, somewhere they'd have like lots of different ice cream, right? So make sure your business category, again, is who you are, not what you do. And you can select a primary category, and then afterward, you can add up to 9 subcategories, by the way. Just make sure, again, they do relate to what you do. Once you reach the end of the questionnaire, you're going to be asked to add your phone number and your website address. The website is optional. Phone number is not. So use a cell phone or whatever your business phone number is. You might want to use a cell phone just to be prepared because they could call you or text you with your verification ID, basically. If it's just a regular business line, as long as it doesn't have, say, somebody who's auto attending answering it, so you can't get the code, you can't get anything, then it's just fine. If it is, it's no big deal too, because basically with the website, if you put the website in there, they might email you the code. Very rarely are they going to send you a postcard anymore. This doesn't really happen. Really, it's all about video verification at this point. And next really is what it comes down to, which is we're going to be going over. And as you can see, this is usually what 99% of you are going to see. And that is that you're selecting the way to get verified. The only option that you are given is business video. Make sure, by the way, when it comes to your Google business profile, read everything they say to you with a fine-tooth comb. Sometimes they will nest the information in a help document, like it says here, learn more about verification. Well, there's a lot of tips in there. And then also, a lot of people, for some reason, they skip over this whole part. Show your location, equipment, proof of management, blah, 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 right? It's very important that you read this and understand what you're going to need to do. And we're going to go over this later on here, by the way, just so you know. And so let's talk about this. Now, these are some high-level tips, okay? We're going to get into some granular information here very shortly. Again, we talked about your business information being accurate. You want to definitely do that. Gather your documents too. And what I mean by that is like you have licenses, permits, utility bills, anything that you can verify to show that the business actually does exist, business cards. Make sure you gather these things ahead of time and put them into, say, an office that you're going to be showing in the video, because we're going to want to show these things during the video verification as well. You'll choose which type of verification you want to do. Again, most of you are going to have video verification, but if you get the other ones, go for it. They're actually pretty good. And then finally, make sure that you are adhering to all of Google's policies and guidelines. You can go ahead and you can Google it, your Google Business Profile Guidelines, and you'll come up with a document which is pretty hefty to read, but it should take you around 3 to 4 hours. It's kind of worth it, actually, because as you're reading through it, you'll kind of understand what Google's actually looking for. And it'll help you through the process. Again, this can be an extremely frustrating process. So anything that you could do to make it easier on yourself, I would recommend doing it, unless you really want to tear out all your hair. So some general tips for getting your video verified. Again, we talked a little bit about preparing, right? But also decide where you're going to start. If you have a branded vehicle, make sure that vehicle is outside of your business, if you have a storefront, of course. Do a mock video, get an opinion from somebody else. And like we said, gather your documents. And if you have staff at your location, prepare them for the fact that this is going to happen. Why? Because you'll see one of the tips is anybody who is there that is not you, well, actually including you, should be like wearing a mask or a hoodie or something like that to cover up their face. Google doesn't want to see any information about anybody, just your business. Next thing is, make sure you've got the right recording device. Using, say, an iPhone or an Android, make sure location services are turned on, and just make sure that in general it works. Do a mock video. I have seen some mock videos that looked like it was done underwater. Google cannot use these, okay? They will reject your video verification immediately if the quality is very low. If the quality is very low, or if you run into other technical glitches, switch. Go to a different phone, go to an iPad or something like that. Make sure, again, you're connected to Wi-Fi or some kind of good hotspot. And then finally, make sure that your video length is down to about 1 minute and 30 seconds. Again, we avoid showing any kind of faces. And if we're showing things like a storefront, you're definitely going to be showcasing your business elements and other businesses around you. All right. Now, during your video verification, I break this down into two different things because we've got two different types of businesses. We've got the kind where you run it from your home and nobody comes to see you. And then we've got the kind where basically people do come to see you at your location. And those are called brick and mortar businesses. So if it's a service area business, you need to prove that you exist. Existence and authority are basically the two things that they're looking at. For the service area business, you show the service area that you're working in. For instance, you're in Morristown, New Jersey. Well, guess what? You should be showing a signage like a cross streets in your area that actually exists inside of Morristown. So you need to be on location. You're going to show your branded work vehicles. Like if you were a real estate agent, you could show, say, your name on a sign of a house that you're selling, things of that nature. If you're brick and mortar, it gets really easy because we're going to record the exterior, the interior. We're going to show clear signage. We're going to highlight other different types of branded items. And that finally gets us into the next part, which is showing authority. Authority means you have authority over this business. You're either the owner or the manager or something of that nature. You're not just some guy or gal off the street that just came in and said, yeah, I'll do the video for you. Sure. So how do you do this? This is mainly done for service area-based businesses by showing them that you can open a truck, showing the tools that you have, showing your license plate, things of that nature. If you're a business, you're going to be showing other businesses around you, show their signage, show the street signs. Go up to your business and open the front door with a key or code. Same thing when you're on the inside is you want to go ahead and do that as well. Show an area basically where nobody else can get to, like an employee break room or something of that nature, or your office, which should be locked. And then finally, when you are done your video verification, meaning that you have processed the video, you get a chance to actually preview that video and take a look at it. Again, if it's all choppy and everything, start over. You might as well. And you can also show it to somebody else if you'd like. Have them take a look at it and go, oh yeah, that looks great. Sure, why not? So now we talked about a couple of these things, but we're just going to go over them because these tips are extremely important. The big thing is wearing a mask or a hoodie. You absolutely want to avoid any kind of reflections in any kind of glass or computer monitors, things of that nature. And most people don't think about that. It's like I would look through a client's video verification that they've done and be like, yep, nope, you showed your face right there in the glass when you're opening the door. Basically, they stop watching at that point. You don't want to show anybody else's face either. And you definitely don't want to show any kind of private information. This could be documents, things of that nature. Nothing should identify anybody else in this location. If there are sensitive documents, redact the information on them. Make a copy or whatever the case may be. Get rid of account numbers. If you're showing a check or something like that, get rid of the account numbers. These are all things, again, that will block the process. If you are showcasing signage, whether it be other signage for other businesses, your signage, or vehicle signage, slow down. Yes, you have 1 minute and 30 seconds, but you need to actually show the signage. You need to stop and show it and zoom in if you have to. Because otherwise, what I see most people do is they will literally pan onto their signage and then pan off of it very quickly. Not even a half a second. You can't see it. Your location is always going to be important during verification too. Showing street signs, nearby businesses. A good tip for you is go to Google Maps or Google Earth first. Type in your address and what do you see? Because guess what? The person on the other end of Google, that's what they're going to do. And they're going to mirror and look up what you've done based on what they see on Google Maps. If it matches up, check. Done. Move on to the next thing. And for business proof, we kind of talked a little bit about this, but it can be business cards, a computer showing software that you used to operate your business, corporate documents, business licenses. Again, redaction, show the information slowly. Then we get into issues and what you can do about it. Let's say you go ahead and you click on Get Verified, and it shows no more ways to verify. This basically either means that you've tried way too many times, or Google just doesn't trust the business profile, the location, or you for that matter. So you have no choice but to reach out to Google support and basically ask them for live video verification. Unfortunately, this is very difficult to do. It's not easy. It's not very straightforward. But basically, you need to get to a contact form that you can fill out. That's all that really matters. First, second one is you get suspended. This happens it happens a lot of the time. Consistent. This is when Google has verified the video manually, and they have basically said, you know what? We want you to go the extra mile and show that your business actually is real. And then you'll have to submit an appeal and go through that process, which can also be very frustrating. Most common is having to verify again. You may get an email, the primary owner should, if the verification fails, and it'll show you the 3 different things that they look for and basically what you did or what you didn't do right. If that happens, verify again. If it says you did not show clear signage or other businesses around you, guess what? That is what you need to fix. So don't try it again without fixing that issue. The next one is videos just not uploading. Basically, what ends up happening here is that you're either using a very old device, which I see happen all the time, outdated versions of Chrome, because they do use Chrome for this process, um, or location services are not turned on, or something else. Either way, try with Wi-Fi, try with a hotspot at the very minimum, or I mean, at the end of that. If it still doesn't work, use somebody else's device, log into their phone with your information, and try it again. Almost guaranteed it will work. I see this happen a lot. The next one is you just can't get through the verification process. Well, if you can't get through the verification process, you're not going to be on Google. That's really all there is to it. And Google doesn't care how much this is costing you. I'm putting this in air quotes because that's not their business. So it's a free product to them. They don't make any money off of this directly. And, it's kind of up to you basically to be able to prove your existence. And if you don't, that's not much they can do about it. And the last thing is we kind of mentioned this earlier, and that is that while you are going through the verification process, let's say you go ahead, you do get it properly verified, and now it's waiting for anywhere from 5 to 30 days. Do not make any changes to your profile. Don't go in and change the name, the category, the phone number, the address, the website URL, anything like that, because Google's then going to be like, really? Oh, so you've changed your business at this point. And they're either going to make you verify again, or they're just going to suspend you. It's one of the two usually. All right. So now we've got our Google business profile. Yes, fantastic. Good job. So the next thing to do is basically get it cleaned up. Add your photos. If there are any reviews that were left during this time period, go ahead, respond to those reviews. Make sure you respond to every single review, including your negative reviews. Use Google Posts. They can be used for promotions. They can be used for events. They can use to be pretty much to promote anything. I would highly recommend that you do add your social profiles to your Google Business profile. There's a place where you can do that. It's really important. Let's just put it that way. They've now started showing Google Business social posts inside of Google Business Profile on mobile. Basically, it's only a matter of time before your social posts get intermingled into your Google Business Profile. And then finally is just optimization. Optimization is a little bit more difficult. You need to be able to find information to do that. There's one really cool tool, if you're technical, called Plepper, Plepr.com, which you can get a Chrome extension for that'll tell you what your competition's doing. Or at the minimum, you can use one that is called GMB Spy, and that one will tell you at least the categories that your competitors are using, because that's mainly what you're going to optimize. You're going to do the your categories, etc., after you are published. So as a bonus, let's talk about really quickly aspects of your Google Business Profile that will help you rank. And then really what it is I just went ahead and put this together as a nice little cheat sheet for you. You can take a picture of it. But basically, these are the areas of your GBP that are going to help you rank better in search. Your business name, if it has keywords in it, and you've done it by the guidelines, by the way. Don't just put keywords in your name because you want to. You have to do it because you're inside the guidelines, or you will be suspended. But if it is something that you do and it's a keyword and it's in your actual business name as it's reflected in the real world, then you can do that and you can add keywords. Anybody who's doing it that does not do that basically will be suspended eventually, especially if you report them. Your address, we talked a little bit about the address, but your address is really key to ranking. There's not much you can do if you have an address already, obviously. But let's just say that you serve all of the township for Morristown and the surrounding areas, right? But you're only ranking in Morristown, so you're not ranking over, in Cherry Hill or whatever the case may be. If you want to rank in Cherry Hill in the local pack, you'll need a new location in Cherry Hill because it is too far away from Morristown. So new locations work like a charm if you're trying to expand. Again, I'm going to say this a lot of times. Make sure that it is within the guidelines that Google puts forth. Categories, we talked about this. Who you are, not what you do. And so basically, you can use as many categories as you want. Just make sure that they do talk to that, who you are. If they don't, again, you can be suspended for what's called deceptive content. Deceptive content is putting in a category that doesn't relate to you whatsoever. Again, if you're a florist and you put in personal injury attorney because you think you should rank for personal injury, that's being deceptive. You're never going to really get any business for that, and it's deceptive to Google and users. Website, obviously you're using your website URL. You don't need to use Facebook or anything like that. If you don't have a website, go get one. They're pretty easy to get. You can go to Wix and get a single page website for nothing. Hours, make sure you're showing the hours for which you are answering the phone and doing business. What this means is if you are a service business, you can put down 24 hours as long as you're going to answer that phone within that 24-hour period. If somebody calls up at 2 o'clock in the morning and you don't answer, A, possibly a bad review. B, they might possibly report you to Google. Obviously, getting the bad review is the worst thing that can actually happen to you at this point. Same thing goes for storefronts. If you are saying that you are open till 24 hours, let's say, and but you're really only there from 9 to 5, this is also a bad experience. It can get you knocked off of Google, suspended, or you can, again, get a bad review. From a review standpoint, you should absolutely all the time, it should be in the DNA of your company, be requesting reviews. And it's really a good idea to reply to all of those reviews. Your overall rating and your freshness of reviews is going to really help you kind of when it comes to ranking and performing on Google search. But it's also kind of social proof. Use it like a business card. That's what we do with ours. Even though we're a local SEO company that we serve people all over the country, we do encourage everybody to leave us a review because we want to know how we're doing too. Sometimes people don't tell you, what they think, but in a review, they tell you exactly what they think. And so take that feedback. As a matter of fact, Google is testing an AI feature that is going to be showing you the exact way people feel about you based on your reviews, positive and negative. Next thing is you have things called attributes, and you can go ahead and you can basically set these up. For instance, are you women owned? Are you Black owned? Are you Indonesian owned? Are you veteran owned? These are attributes. Do you accept credit cards? Do you have dine-in only for restaurants? Things of that nature. There's a whole bevy of options that you can go through, and you can go ahead and check those as either as on or off. The next one is going to be your services. There's a service section, and you can put in your services. Just make sure that it makes sense when you say offers, service. The example I love to give about this is with personal injury lawyers because I see it all the time. They will put down offers, and then something like sexual abuse. So isn't that nice to know that they offer that? What they actually mean is the sexual abuse cases, okay, or services. So just make sure it matches in that kind of way. And then finally, organic SEO. Hire an SEO company or do it yourself, whatever the case may be, but your organic will affect your local ranking. Your local ranking will not affect your organic ranking. Organic ranking is also good because it can go ahead and help you rank, say where we were talking about from Morristown to Cherry Hill. It'll come up in the blue links, right? And it won't come up in the map pack, but at least it's something. And that's really it. Scan this QR code. You can view our ultimate guide to suspensions after verification. Well, before verification, suspensions are some of the most trying things you can ever experience when it comes to your Google business profile, and probably one of the most frustrating because you've been on Google, now you're off Google completely forever until you get through the suspension appeal, which can sometimes be extremely daunting. So we have an entire guide on that. It's not for today, but I would definitely go ahead, check us out, steadydemand.com, where we have all sorts of information.